everyone. This week I'm doing a screencast because there is something that I want to show you in Google Docs for the QM rubric review. Also just want to let you know I'm starting here on the home page, and you're going to see that I have not edited this page yet. It still has last week's SoundCloud announcement, but this screencast will replace that announcement as soon as I'm done with it. Just reminding you that things will change on this page every week based on your new announcement. Then remember that in the announcements is where you can find the notes for this screencast as well as the embedded screencast as well. So let's get started with your update. Let's move into modules. And I do want to remind you that we are still in our groups, hopefully having fun with the fun group activity. Of course, if you have any questions or need any help, please make sure to let me know. You'll notice that on the side, you can't see it right now, but let me move the window just a bit. If I move the window over, you can see that the due date is currently set for October 29th. I do think that's plenty of time, but please let me know from your groups if you think there are any issues with that time frame. You know me, I'm pretty flexible and happy to extend dates if needed, so just let me know what your group is thinking about that. Next, note that I have finally finished grading and providing some comments for the Design Your Draft Getting Started Materials activity. I do know that some of you are still working on this activity. That's fine. Just keep at it. I do hope that you all keep visiting this discussion because there's still a lot going on in there, and I think we can still learn from each other. Also notice that in Adventure 5, we're going to be creating our syllabi materials. And so some of you for this activity were working on your syllabus materials. So what I'm going to want to see as part of Adventure 5, and I'll keep reminding you of this and I'll work it into the instructions, is I'm going to want to make sure that you have both sets of materials, that you do indeed have your syllabus, if needed, that you have a schedule. I personally separate my syllabus and schedule, and that you have at least the beginnings of your getting started materials. And that's, if you look at the template that I provided in the Design Your Draft Getting Started materials, you'll notice that there are some specific things we're looking for when you are getting started in a course. For example, I have a Getting Started module in my course, and I actually used to have a document similar to the template as my Getting Started module overview. I have transitioned a little bit into a more streamlined document because the modules do provide so many nice opportunities to give you those assignments within the module. So the overview for me is now like a checklist, and where I discuss your learning objectives, both course learning objectives and specific module or adventure learning objectives or learning outcomes. And so this is sort of a miniaturized version of the template that you have in Adventure 3. All right, so I just kind of wanted to point that out, and then you see that in the module itself, all of those elements that you saw in the template are available and expanded upon with each of these different assignments, basically. So there, you do need to have some differentiation between your syllabus schedule, what goes on your home page, and what materials that you provide your students for getting started. I have seen people just provide getting started materials on the home page and link to them there, and then have students go into the modules and just start with the units there. So there are different ways that you can do that, but there should be some differentiation. So make sure that you check out that template in the Design Your Draft Getting Started materials to help you understand the delineations. All right, moving on. For the great debates, we were working on those over the past couple of weeks. You should be finishing that. I do know, again, that some of you are still working on that. Lucky you. The activity that we were scheduled to do this week, the 15th through the 21st, I have given you an option to do that with me next Tuesday in a class meeting. So like the one that we did in the past, that discussion for online learning community, instead of doing that as a discussion, we did it as a class meeting. Although some of you did both, which is awesome. It met your learning needs. We're gonna do the same thing with Summarize the Great Debate. You have the option of doing it as a discussion. You have the option to join me in the class meeting, me in your class. Some of the members who asked that we go ahead and do this or supported the idea of doing this. But you can also do both. The way that some of you did the last time, you can do both the written and the verbal, however it works best for you. But for those of you who are still working on the Great Debate, you might not get to the actual writing part of summarizing the Great Debate, and that's okay. You can join us for the class meeting. All right, so that's that. Then finally, we are working on those QM rubric reviews. Remember, there was a part 1 where we were just looking at the materials, and then there's a part 2 that you actually do a review. So I'm going to open that up because there was something important that I needed to point out. We'll sing the Jeopardy song when we get there. Okay, so QM rubric review part 1 and QM rubric review part 2. Remember, October 1 through 7, you were just reviewing and noting that we have these different versions of the Quality Matters rubric. The big annotated version that just gives you all the ideas of how you can meet the Quality Matters rubric, the NMSU Quality Matters rubric for annotation, the template, and then the handy dandy checklist, which I print out and have by my desk actually right here. The thing to know is that this NMSU Quality Matters rubric for annotation, which is available in part 1 and in part 2, I'm going to pop that out. One of the things that I didn't notice until today, for some reason, is that we had made a change with this rubric and the way that we were using it, and for some reason this rubric was open, which means it was, if you click on the share button in the upper right hand corner, let's open that up, move that over a little bit so you can see that. So that share button, you can see that anyone with the link can access it. I need to change that again. I thought I just changed it, but I need to, see, anyone who has the link can view it, which means you can access it. What had happened earlier is anyone who had the link could edit it, and that is not what we want. We want you to be able to view it, access it, copy it, and paste it into your own Google Doc or Word document. If you're working with a partner, you should use a Google Doc. If you're working on your own, you can do either. But now, it's, you can do this highlight of everything or do edit select all, right? Select all, and then edit copy, and you can also see how it says Control C, or Command C. You can also use Command C to copy it. And then you open up your own Google document or your Word document and do a paste. So that was kind of messed up until maybe it's 4:38 right now. Maybe about half an hour ago, someone asked me this question about this document, and I realized that it was not set properly. And hopefully this helps you understand what you need to do. That said, there were some annotations in that document, so I apologize if I've deleted your work. You're not all supposed to be able to, as a class, all 25 of you in my class, another group in Sandy's class, we're not all supposed to be able to edit this particular document. You're supposed to be able to copy it into your own document. If you have any questions about that, let me know. I did save part of the document that was in here previously. I can send that link to those of you who asked for it in email, because maybe there is some information in there that you want to pull. I think that's all I need to let you know about that. All right, so this is what you should be working on this week in addition to your group activity, if you're still working on your draft getting started materials, and for the Great Debate, summarizing the Great Debate, just make sure that you have, by the time we meet next Tuesday evening, if you're going to meet, make sure you have read those debate posts and that you're able to reflect upon that on our Tuesday meeting. I will send you earlier next Tuesday, maybe even on Monday, some thoughts about the questions that you might want to make sure you have the capacity to address in our class meeting, which actually are in the modules. Summarize the Great Debate. The questions that we will look at are definitely in Summarize the Great Debate, but the other thing that I might think about, so this is like what you learned about both the problems and solutions. Is there still anything unclear? How has your thinking changed? That's one of my favorites since you started this class or since your last reflection. So those are the things that we'll want to talk about in our class meeting if that's what you choose to do for Summarize the Great Debate for October 15 through 21. We meet on the 22nd. All right. Trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's it for now. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. Have a great week.